no intro. We're just live.
We're just live.
Yeah, we're just live. We're still live. It's so nice to be alive. I don't know if these things are starting. No.
It hasn't. Cool. It hasn't caught up yet.
Oh,
there it is.
I'm trying to get my shit.
Your thing isn't showing again, too.
What's that? Yeah, I know. None of our things are showing, and I don't get it. What do we got to do? It's still this way. So should we try the new experience? It says try the new experience. Oh, I can't. What is the new experience? On Restream, I got a little try the new experience button, but I don't think I want any new experiences. I don't know.
We just want our avatars to show up. That'd be nice.
Yep. Oh, we can do that. So this is Sal's latest victim, and I put a link to Pocket Locker's video in my description. So because he covered this yesterday, and I think he did a pretty good job from what I saw. I didn't get a chance to watch it all, but
yep, I was there. He chewed on Sal pretty good. He did a good job. So.
And put a link to Dr. Chris Thompson was on Arn Ra talking about some sort of ESP proof that somebody thought they had. And Dr. Thompson read the papers and just tore them to pieces. It was amazing. So that was really cool. So had him on. And Dr. Thompson also did a thing yesterday on neurogenesis where he's starting like a 3-part series on embryonic and adult neurogenesis because he knows a lot about how the brain develops. And he does a wonderful job of explaining how the neurons basically are formed, how they divide, how they populate, how they basically end up in their destinations. They do a little migration, and it's really kind of cool how they do it. They follow these radial glial cells, little strands, and they get themselves in a certain place, and they might replicate again a couple of times and differentiate. And it's really interesting how the brain forms. And for people that want to know about when life starts, when you learn a little bit about how the brain forms, you realize that those embryos up until a few months old don't have a single chance of having any kind of a nervous system at all. There's just nothing there. There is nothing there. The heart may be beating, but that's because these heart muscles, they'll beat if you rip your heart out of your chest. It'll beat a few times before it quits, right? Before it runs out of energy. That's a real simple system. The brain is not, and there's no way that any kind of consciousness exists in a child. I think right up into the moment of birth, that it's as if you're sleeping, or worse, even deader than sleeping. And I'll fight with anybody about that. So anyway, I thought should we jump into the middle here and just listen to her talk a little bit?
Yeah, I wanted to mention Sumami there said, not salamander schmuck.
Oh, nice.
Unfortunately, it has resurfaced, so we're taking a look, yes.
You guys taking call-ins today? Old Joe. Oh, no. Old Joe, he's the one, isn't he?
Old Joe's all right. Yeah.
Old Joe's all right?
He's one from the Jim Knob channel that is all right. Okay. We talked to him that one day, remember?
Oh, yeah. Should we put a link up?
That's up to you.
Yeah. I really don't have too much going on, so yeah. We could do that. We could put the link up and pin it. So anybody that wants to come in. Only we don't call them call-ins here, Old Joe. I don't understand. All of a sudden, like a year ago, nobody called it call-ins. They said, we'll put the link out and you can join, Now they call it call-ins, like we're the line or something where we have a call-in number. And I don't understand this new terminology all of a sudden. I guess you got to keep up, right? You got to keep up to the kids today.
The new has become the old. The old has become the new.
It's Scott. He's trying. Maybe Scott
He's trying.
Do it without video feed. Yeah, the old has become the new. Anyway, it's there. Okay.
And just so everybody knows, for some reason, StreamYard isn't showing the avatars. We don't know what's going on, but
blame Restream. We don't want to blame Stream.
And just a quick, can y'all hear me?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not roboting. I'm having to do a personal hotspot through my phone.
Sounds good.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I put the thing out there, and here we have Old Joe. Old Joe.
Hello, gentlemen. Can you hear me?
I can. Yeah.
Yep. Hello, Joe.
Hello, everybody. Hey, what I was hoping to do today, I called in and expressed my support for some of Jim Bob's theories and standpoints, but I also told you that I'm an agnostic. So what I would like to do today briefly and not take up too much of your time is go through specifically. In his last stream, it became quite clear to me where my worldview separates from his.
Okay.
And I would like to go through specifically, if I can. Now, once again, language is blunt. For me, words are blunt tools, and we're talking about things on the edge of my intellect. So if I'm clumsy about it, I would ask for some forgiveness.
Okay. Go ahead. Yeah, sounds like something fun to do.
Okay. When we get into material that we can conceptualize, it's very easy to get into the weeds. And sometimes I watched a debate with Jay Dyer, and sometimes I think the people on the theistic side are guilty of doing this and perhaps using language as a way to mask or maybe even invent an understanding that they don't have. Does that sound fair?
Sure.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so would it be fair of me to say that the information that passes between us, the concepts, are bounded and restricted by my ability to convey those concepts, very similar to the amount of weight I can lift, is bounded by my physical strength unless I augment it somehow. Is that a fair statement?
Yep.
Yeah, that is.
So if I talk in terms of somebody who can lift an amount of weight unassisted, but I really cannot demonstrate my ability to do that, or I grant myself that ability, I would say that immediately I've disqualified the arguments I make on that basis. That's my feeling.
Yep.
So
that's what I've been saying is I don't think Jim Bob understands that he's not explaining anything clearly. And I think that's kind of what you're saying is that he's using a lot of words, but it's not doing him any good. If we don't know what the heck he's saying.
There's some depth in his thinking that I wasn't exposed to before, particularly around free will, but I'm going to leave that for now. And I'm going to talk about the foundation and where I would take issue. And I think that it's fair of me to question anybody and their worldview if we're seeking the truth. Now, I mentioned before in terms of spirituality, my belief is there is an objective truth that we're bound to, and I believe we should seek it. If my opinions happen to be incorrect, then I want them corrected. Not based on what makes me feel good or what serves a purpose for me, but what's actually true. So I think if you look, say, in terms of the tag that they constantly use, one of the things that they will say is, did the laws of logic exist before the human mind existed? Is this your understanding? Have I gotten that correctly of the argument they use?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So going back to the amount of weight you can lift and making claims, I believe that argument rests on a certain individual's ability to conceptualize what the laws of logic are and how they function and how logic itself functions. It's my belief that as a species, we're extremely limited in this regard. And I think in asking that question, there is a presupposition made, a self-granting of an understanding of the reality around us that simply does not exist. What I'm saying is that the argument at its foundation rides on an understanding that we as humanity do not possess. That's my argument.
Okay. That's where you would differ with Jim Bob?
I would differ from Jim Bob in that regard, in a couple regards.
Yeah.
That's the more ethereal piece. In terms of more concrete thinking and things that are more easily conceptualized, I think that when we look at how the world functions in terms of evolution, in terms of those species that are successful and those that are not, there is an opportunity for a bunch of ideas to be tried out in nature. And those ideas that are not successful fail, and those ones that are successful succeed. And we get this blossoming of life and this variety of circumstances that we have on the planet. I think the same thing is true of ideas, of concepts. And the concepts that prove themselves to be true against objective reality tend to survive, and those that do not prove themselves to be true, an example would be smoking is good for your health, those kind of ideas tend to die. And I don't think Jim Bob and the people that support him would agree with me. I think they believe that your ideas and your speech and your thoughts and your behavior should be guided solely by a church authority. And
Right.
I think this is restrictive. I think we've seen societies like that throughout history that have stagnated. I do not believe that's how we should lead I believe that we should be bounded by tradition and custom, and I believe religion serves a purpose. But I do not believe that we should be relying on a single authority as a source of all answers. I think in doing so, it stagnates growth for us as a species. That's my belief.
Yeah, there's always going to be a new situation that is so complicated that any rules that we write down in the past aren't going to apply to it. There's going to have to be a reckoning, basically, with this new kind of situation. And,
well, yes, and bad ideas need to be exposed to reality. I can think of many examples when single authorities, church authorities, were given shielding from bad ideas based on their position. And then bad behaviors were allowed to continue. And that wasn't good for society or humanity as a whole. That would be my argument. I think that anytime an idea is presented, people should have the right to have bad ideas and then have them fail. This is how we learn. This is how we learn as a species. My little girl is 9 months old right now. She has all sorts of bad ideas.
yeah,
We bound her behavior with our experience. We tell her that these things or show her that some of these things are dangerous. But throughout her life, she will experiment with things that aren't productive. And then the feedback that she gets from the objective reality will tell her whether those ideas are good or whether they're not. And if she doesn't adapt and accept that feedback, if she instead turns within herself and says, I create my own reality, or I can, then she's not very likely to thrive as a human being. Have I made my point clearly enough in terms of my disagreement with Jim Bob?
yes, yeah, pretty good.
Yep.
Yeah.
A lot of non-believers make a similar argument.
Yeah.
So I'd like to thank you fellows for having me up here today. And I had asked Captive Desk if he was going to stream, because that struck me in that moment in the last live stream I was in with Jim Bob. And like I say, I think there's a lot of things in terms of, philosophy, a lot of stuff I've seen that I hadn't seen before. But it's my belief, the core of any bureaucracy. I believe all of these organized religions in some way, shape, or form are vulnerable to turning into bureaucracies, with all the failures of humanity included.
Yeah, particularly if they start to combine with a government and they have the force of a government or the force of a military behind them, which is kind of what I'm hearing in the undertones of current evangelism in the United States. It just seems like they kind of want a little more power than they have right now, and they're gonna try to get it, and that concerns me greatly.
Yeah, well, this is it, and I would ask Jim Bob or Andrew Wilson this question, because I've heard kind of an undercurrent of this thought in the in the Orthodox community. And it could be just whack jobs who don't represent the general belief in the Orthodox community. But there are some rumblings that some people would like to have an unelected emperor, an Orthodox emperor who decided what we did on a daily basis. This to me is very scary and wrong.
Yeah, and I think we might elect one on in November 5th. We're about 50-50 with the possibility of electing such a person. Hi, Demeter. I just saw something.
Technically, it's 50-49. So
yeah,
Trump's huge lead is within the margin of error.
So, in any case, gentlemen, I've said my piece, and
I have a question for you, old Joe.
Sure.
Maybe you can help me out with this thing. I'm having a little discussion in one of the comments from the last video that Jim Bob did. And the discussion goes along the lines of atheists have no grounds for deciding what's better. Like whether one thing is better. They have said this out loud. And does that strike you as ridiculous as it does me?
Here's how I would respond from an atheistic perspective if it was me about the theist criticism that atheism has no way of deciding on morals.
Right.
I myself believe that we have to get morality from somewhere outside of ourselves, and perhaps something we don't understand. But if I were called upon, if I were to steel man the position, I would say that morality can in fact be a product of evolution. The reason that we would intervene and stop something happening that was bad is because from an evolutionary perspective, we would not want to see this practice spreading throughout our society or throughout the world, throughout our species. We would have incentive, even from a completely selfish perspective, to act in a fashion that is not destructive to another individual, because if we do so, if we allow that kind of behavior to continue, then it's likely going to affect us in the end. So that would be my argument. We see it in the animal community all the time.
Yep. Yeah, I hold a biological perspective, and the last question I asked him, I said, okay, do you think an atheist has no grounds for the word better or worse? If you put your feet in real warm stockings, or if you hit your foot with a hammer, which one of those things is better or worse? And why would an atheist be able to do that just as well as a believer? I mean, they act like we don't even have feelings of pain and pleasure, that there's no valence at all in our life, that we have nothing guiding us at all, right?
Well, this is because a lot of theists will believe that they hold the franchise on morality. And I'm not arguing that they don't. I don't know the answer to that question. But what I would say is the people that specifically point to Judeo-Christian values and say you owe us for this on the planet are likely taking credit for a lot more than they deserve to. I think these kind of things, traditions, have been going on for a lot longer. And I think there's a reason that those arguments continue to be made. You know, you can't tell the difference between good and bad. It's so that the theist can claim that the only way to good is through the avenue that they offer. Once again, this is channeling a great deal of knowledge through a very narrow funnel and very prone to error, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, it really surprises me and confuses me when I have these discussions with them. And it seems like they do not want to actually have a discussion with me. They do not want to hear what I have to say. They just want to preach at me or tell me, you can't possibly have any moral grounds. And I get frustrated because it seems like I'm talking to a human being that I can reason with. And yet they won't answer any questions, and they keep telling me that I haven't answered their question, even though I've tried in every way I know how to try to answer their question, right?
Yes. One of the things that I've experienced in my life as I get older is the tribalism that we tend to subscribe to as human beings is so stunningly powerful that we might avoid and suspend rational thinking. I'll give you a little anecdote. So I'm actually from the northern part of Canada, and we have large automotive dealerships that service our large pickups, and people are quite tribal about that. And I was drinking in the bar one time, and two fellows got into a fight because one was a Ford mechanic and one was a Chevy mechanic.
Oh yeah.
And in the end, the Ford mechanic, and it was such a telling moment. The Ford mechanic was standing on top of a table, screaming at the top of his lungs, "I am Ford! I am Ford!" He
Yeah.
literally believed he was this
Right.
thing that he was fighting for. He was no longer separate from it and was no longer thinking logically.
Yeah.
And this, in my opinion, is one of the deadliest traps as a species we can fall into.
Yeah. And we fall into it very easily. We're designed for that tribalism.
That's right.
We have these concentric circles around our own selfish survival needs, our immediate family, our children and spouse, and then our community, our extended family, and then our community around that. And it's so obvious that we care more about what is closer to us, which is natural, and you almost can't get around that because you can't afford to care as much about a stranger as you have to care about your children, right? You don't have enough resources to care. So, I mean, there's a little reality to it, but we very quickly fall into those circles where, we are this or that sports team, or we are this or that city. And it's just, I think an understanding of our human nature to do this is the first thing we need to teach children about in order to combat things like racism and bullying and a whole bunch of other ills in the world. I don't know.
I agree. Hey, gentlemen, thank you very much for having me.
Thanks. Up. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for stopping by, Joe.
Yeah.
Good talking to you.
Bye-bye. Anyway, I have to put a star by his name. I like him. So it's hard to keep all these handles straight.
And it's amazing that, you can get somebody from Jim Bob's channel to come on here and talk civilly and say, okay, nice talking to you, and we'll see you later. It's like amazing.
It's a long story that I probably shouldn't get into, but basically I had to drink, and the only place I could drink is at a strip bar. And I don't like strip bars, and I'd never been to one before in my life. And anyway, I ended up hanging out at this strip bar and getting to know all these strippers, and they would give me their stage names. And I could never remember their stage names because I knew they weren't their real names, right? I know you're not named Star, I know that. And then when they would give me their real names, I could remember who they were. But it's the same thing on YouTube. When people keep changing their goddamn names, or, and I don't even believe they're their names in the first place. I know James Apperson and maybe Michael Bell are real names and all that, but Speed of Sound is not. So anyway, so I tend to forget people that have been on my channel, and I need to keep notes because I'm definitely not going to remember the goddamn handle, their name. Anyway, we lost Scott. Are you ready? Where did Scott go? Did he give us no, he hasn't. He hasn't given us an update. Anyway, yeah. Should we play a little of this? Give us something to talk about.
I'm anticipating.
Okay, I just
after it because if I can't do it, I hope she does it. I hope that you can see mitochondria in dinosaur cells. I hope that you can sequence mitochondrial DNA so you can tell us what it is, like how similar is it to all life that we know today, all extant living organisms. How do the dinosaurs fit into the diversity of life? Of course, as a young earth creationist, I believe they're not going to be anything like the birds, but I do want to encourage that if you have the funding to do this, you should do it and not be afraid to do it. And who cares if you change the paradigm? Like, that's what we need. We need a paradigm shift. Darwinism is collapsing. It's falling apart. So
Oh yeah, look at that. Look at that face.
So happy. So happy.
Oh, it's collapsing. Whose opinion is that? Oh,
well, and she's roundabout in a way talking about Mary Schweitzer's research.
Right.
And Mary Schweitzer herself has said they are fibbing, and shame on them for being Christians as her peers. Okay. She's not happy about it. And she literally said, shame on you. Yeah. They have not found cells nor DNA. And I was telling Mike earlier, I went looking. There was one paper. I don't even know if it was a good paper or not, but basically there was one group of researchers that said they found some very, very, very fragmented dinosaur DNA, but it hasn't been repeated. What Mary said was the chemicals are still there that make up DNA.
Because they have to be. They have nowhere to go.
Because they are always, the elements are always here, right?
Yeah.
But it's not together anymore as DNA. And they are totally fibbing about everything. And Mary has outright addressed it, that they are fibbing about her stuff, and shame on them. They do not have blood cells. She keeps talking about the dinosaur cells.
Yeah.
And they do not have DNA. So it doesn't matter how much money you have, you cannot sequence something that is not put together anymore.
Right. And, she says, oh, I hope they find mitochondria. It's like, this isn't bloody likely, but even if a cell does, it's buried under rock or buried under, a lot of mud, and there's no oxygen, and it's fossilizing. The cell walls, I think we've seen cell walls occasionally, in single cell bacteria and stuff. We've seen the remnants of cell walls, but they're mostly the effect that the cell wall had on the rock around it. There's no longer an actual cell wall there. That stuff's all broken down. So we're not going to find mitochondria, and we're not going to get DNA out of 128 million year old fossils and be able to sequence that DNA. But on the other hand, we will get breakdown byproducts of that DNA, and some of it might actually stain as chromatin, because it's intact enough, right? There's a real variation in what happens to fossils in these microclimates inside of them. And it isn't surprising that there are fragments of biomolecules there. They've known this forever because they found it in coal. They'll find fragments of, I think it's, I can't remember the chemical name of it, but there's a certain ring structure that tends to be really stable. And they found fragments of plant biomolecules in coal. And we've known that for a long time. But, her and Sal talk about it like the scientists just don't want to look because they're afraid that birds are not going to be the same as dinosaurs. It's like, no. If we could get at that DNA, biologists would be lined up at the gate, a mile deep, waiting for the sequence to get that DNA. This is something that we have wanted forever to get ancient.
And we have, right? and they're giving us a 4,300 year timeline since their flood, right?
Yeah.
So within that 4,300 years, we have mammoth DNA.
We should get everything within 43.
But we don't have dinosaur DNA. Why is that? Why is that?
No.
Yeah.
Well, it's because we only look at mammoths and we haven't looked at the dinosaurs yet. So it was a Chinese Academy of Sciences paleontologist, Alida Belul, I think. And they found basically that's the only real good trace that they found. And it was from staining, where they found something that indicates that they may have some DNA there, and whether or not they can extract it. The other problem is that they found new unidentified microbes inside of some of these fossils, and they screw up the whole DNA sequencing thing. So you got to be really careful. It's very easy to
And I think she reads this like that. I did that quick little video about Avery the other day over to Answers in Genesis, where she says, so I went and looked at the paper and I read it. Well, I didn't really read it because I didn't understand it. But down here in the abstract, see, there's the problem.
Yeah.
Therein, it may say something about the DNA markers being picked up. But that again is the whatever technique they're using is picking up those markers. It's not picking up DNA. And they, of course, Sal's notorious for this too. They look through and they look through. Oh, here's a word I like. It says, markers of DNA right there. See, they found DNA. No, that's not what the, again, I don't know the equipment, but it's picking up the chemical signatures. It's not picking up sequence DNA. So this is
we got
a great example, once again, of cherry picking. And they may have indeed looked up at one of these papers or skimmed through the article, but it's only to find a word that they like.
Yeah. Simos has joined us. For some reason, it's not putting anybody in the stream anymore. So we have Simos Funk.
Hello, Simos.
Hello.
Hey. And all you can see is my screen, which is really weird. And it's amazing that you can see mine at all. Well, I think if you guys turned your cameras on, if you close the lid on your cameras and turn them on, I think your icons would end up on the screen for some reason. Because if I turn mine off, what happens? Yeah, we end up with that. I mean, I'm still here, but yeah, there's Captain.
Okay, hang on a sec. Let me just make sure everything's good. There we go. Oh, yeah, there we go. Hello.
Okay.
Hello.
So.
Oh, there you go. Looks like I've got to.
No, you have to leave the camera on and just cover it up.
Yeah, close the lid on your
camera. Oh, that's all right. It doesn't matter.
If you don't want to be on. Yeah,
that's what's weird. It's, I don't know we're trying to figure it out. If anybody can give us a good exorcism to get our avatars back, let us know.
Well, since everybody else is.
Yeah, that's what I did. I just put my cover over it.
Yeah.
I don't have a cover, but.
I think we need a paradigm shift, and I think dinosaur DNA sequencing could help with that. So.
Oh yeah, it would help with that because dinosaur DNA sequencing would give us a really clear idea. If we could find a goddamn sequence of DNA for a common ancestor back 120 million years, that would be great. I'd be running around the yard just screaming and fucking firing my weapon off into the air. It's like, yay.
It reminds me, remember in Jurassic Park when they first get there?
Yeah.
And he first sees that dinosaur walking. You're telling me that a paleontologist would give their kidney or whatever, you know what I mean, to have that. It's ridiculous that they don't want that.
Yeah, if I could find like a 120 million year old genetic sequence for all of these protein families that I study, I mean, that would be immense. That would give us the enough information to piece all of this together, all the mutations, all the sequences. But no, we're just not finding it, and we're looking.
So. Well, also, it'd be an instant book deal.
Oh, hell yeah.
Right. So, like, there's, why are people hiding this? You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
It's the conspiracy theory gone wild again.
Well, that's kind of what they're talking about here, and they have been talking about it during this entire
video. Of course they have. Because they haven't got any facts to talk about,
Well, and if there's a big conspiracy, the scientists sure screwed up when they gave us the internet.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, the worst thing, everybody knows, countries like North Korea or whatever, they, part of their power is, keeping that iron fist, right?
Right.
But when you give the whole world communication, of course, it never makes any sense. But yeah.
Do we have any information on this professor?
No, she does not give her last name. She She worked for the, let's see, what was it? The California Academy of Sciences. It's a natural history museum kind of thing. It's like a public outreach.
Okay.
She worked there, and it sounded at one point in this interview, I don't know if you caught it, Dave, she said something about being tossed out when they found out she was a young earth creationist.
Yeah, because she went in there telling them that she already knows better, and all the biologists are dum-dums. That's why.
Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough.
So I think she lost her job, and she's not giving her last name. So
not because of her beliefs.
Oh no.
They always want to say, yeah, they got bounced because of their beliefs. No, it's not. They didn't. It's because of what they were saying, and similar to like Jordan Peterson. That's why he got in trouble.
Yeah.
Okay, is because he was bad mouthing, faculty and the bosses and stuff. You know what I mean? And it's like, anybody would get in trouble if you were bad mouthing your coworkers and your boss every day, right? You're not immune just because now of course tenure comes into play, blah blah blah. But it's always my freedom of speech, blah 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 blah, and it's like that ends at work, that ends at school, that ends when you're in the military. You know what I mean? When you're in these certain areas, there's a certain understanding of you don't have to be there, right? You can go home and run your mouth, but that doesn't mean you can do it in every, especially in a place of business and stuff. Or a university is a place of business. Bottom line.
Yeah. The only place that can fire you legally for your religious views are religions. Those guys
exactly.
Can.
Ironically,
but everybody else can't. But prior service military, I can tell you that it was extremely limited on what we can do with our public space while serving. But even at that, you shouldn't.
Well, just running your mouth though, Michael. Are you gonna say, yo, drill sergeant, you big dum dum? Right? That's gonna go over really well, right?
Right.
Oh, wait a minute. There's a general walking by. Hey, I'm gonna flip him the bird. How you like that, General? Right? No. You have to salute, right? It's
protocol. There are certain things you can't do, even if you want to.
Now in public, I can walk up to the general and flip him off. Okay, but that's separation.
In one case, one of my buddies who was a prior service Marine, he was IT like me, and he had to go in this officer's office, and she couldn't figure out how come she kept losing data. But this is back in the days of the 5.5 floppy, and what she had done is taken a magnet and stuck it to her desk. Right? So the Marine that came in to help her, my buddy, he's like, "Excuse me, ma'am," turned around, walked out. And then when he composed himself, he walked back in, and she's like, "You had to walk out so you can laugh at me." And he's like, "Yes, ma'am, I did." But the mics kept falling off.
There's a meme of a Windows 95 disk with a refrigerator magnet, and it's stuck on the refrigerator. Do not lose. This is the recovery disk.
Right.
Yeah, I used to put strong speaker magnets on each side of my hard disk so that I could preserve the information, so I could magnetically hold it there.
That was when they came out with the desktop computer that had the speakers attached to the monitor. What maniac decided that was a good idea?
Oh yeah.
Seriously, wow.
The same one that stuck the recovery disk to the refrigerator with a magnet.
Right.
So I got a little clip here at the beginning that kind of explains why these people get fired from positions.
And I have been very successful in obtaining research grants from the National Science Foundation and also the National Institute of Health. So the National Science Foundation was specifically for biodiversity research as it related to sea slug diversity. And then with the National Institute of Health,
it's coming.
I was looking at marine natural products and drug discovery in the Philippines under the International Cooperative Biodiversity Group. I love teaching. I love sharing the natural world with my students. And I really like educating them about just how wonderful the details of science are and how that testifies to a creator making all of nature.
There you go. It's that little added part that, oh, I love sharing the details of science and the wonders of the natural world, and that it's the glory of God and the creator that made them, and it testifies to the creator. And there you cross the line. God damn it. And
it's not crossing the line if she wants to do it at home or at church, or if she wants to stand on the corner, but she's in whatever some kind of university setting or whatever, and that is not the place for
if she's talking to other people's children, then she better shut
and they are probably spending $100,000, whatever the money is, lots of money that they just dished out so their kid could go learn whatever they're there to learn, and they weren't sent to a theology school.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that gets me about this whole deal, especially about them trying to push their religion into schools and shit like that, is the sheer arrogance to ignore the other 3,990 other religions out there. Oh, this is the only one. I mean, just keep that shit at home.
Yeah.
You got churches, you got church functions, you got after school stuff, you've got weekends, you got TV, you got radio. I mean, there's all the church they could ever want outside of school. Just leave that there.
Yeah. Well, Mike was pointing out they've got all these things. Aaron Ra covered the what's it called, 2025, whatever the thing is. You've got the 7 mountains where they have their creed they put up on the big screen that it's to take over and have Christian rule.
Oh yeah, well, we see it right here going on. Sadly, right now in the U.S., even though the numbers are dropping, and the numbers are dropping from the youngsters that are seeing all the hatred and bigotry and shit like that, and the hypocrisy of it all. But the youngsters aren't the ones doing the voting, and it's the evangelicals and the old parts that are trying to push through all this religious in our legislation and in our schools and shit like that, and they're the ones getting away with this shit.
To their credit, the big religious bloc is good at turning out voters.
Yeah,
and that's why the orange thing has to pretend that he's a believer, because
that's how he got in the first time.
Yeah, it's a big voting bloc.
Yeah, we're not gonna publicly say who she is, but I think we found out. So anyway,
with a little sleuthing, you can find out who this person is, but we're not going to, we're not going to do that.
She works for a Bible college. Go figure.
Yeah, surprise.
Well, Bart Ehrman, I like the way he speaks. I like the way he writes. We disagree on 1 or 2 points, but he works for a Bible college, and he now declares himself as an agnostic, although a lot of people claim he's atheist. But he doesn't even mention any of that in his classes. He just gives them the background on NT without mentioning any of that to his.
And that's why he keeps his job. That's why he keeps his job, right? Yeah, because if he was saying, "Hey, you're all a bunch of dummies," again, there's going to be parents at home that are saying, "Hey, I'm paying my kids to learn theology at this school. I want them to learn it." And if he's up there, obviously. What is that? He's being paid for, right?
And he's a big name as well, right? So, the cachet for the college to have him as their professor is quite high.
What is that stupid series of movies where they have one of them was they had the atheist professor?
God's not dead.
God's not dead. Yeah, my God, if that atheist professor actually did what they depicted him as doing, he would be fired too.
Oh yeah, he'd have been fired quickly.
Yeah.
They're not there for that. They're for an education. They don't. Right. It's not. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, and one of the ones a lot of the creationists pull up that got fired from his job was somebody that wasn't even in a position to teach. They were brought in to help the professor prepare the lab stuff or whatever. He was like an assistant or whatever, and he was talking and saying stuff to students, and it's like, hold on, you're not the teacher, And that's why he got in trouble. It wasn't his beliefs. He was in no position to even say anything in the classroom, right? He was just supposed to swab petri dishes or whatever he was there for, right? So yeah, when you actually get the story, it's never because of their beliefs. Never once.
Yeah, because it's illegal. And you
it's illegal. That's right.
Get sued for it.
And we would stand up for it too. We would say, hey, that's not right, because this is in our country, you can have your religion, okay? And so we would stand up for them too. So
you got Purple Rhymes with Orange in your chat, and Robin Webster and John, people I don't know, John Fabiano?
If you look in your private chat there, in your not private chat, your side chat there, old Joe is asking a question.
Old Joe is asking in my chat.
Where is it again? Are you guys taking call-ins or something like that?
Oh no, that was earlier.
Yeah, that was earlier, was it? Okay, mine's catching up. Okay,
he's already.
Thanks, Purple.
I just want to say I was in a hangout with Sal and a few other Rebecca and a few other people. This is a little while, 6-8 months ago, or something like that. And somebody asked the question of why so many people in America are creationists.
Yeah.
And I answered straight out, just honestly, in my opinion, well, it's obviously it's education, bad education. And then so, in fact, I think it was Rebecca turned around and said, "Well, two of us have got degrees."
Yeah.
So I just said, "Well, degrees in what though?"
Yeah.
Well,
and
the
conversation went downhill.
We got some disturbing stats, and it's been going worse all the time. But the current reading level of the high school graduate is about 6th grade. So yeah, it's not going well.
I wonder what's happening. I don't know. Yeah. I wonder what's going on. I hope to hell it isn't evolutionary, basically, that we're changing that rapidly. I have no idea what it is.
Well, I'm hoping there'll be a balance in listening level, but it doesn't appear that way when you talk to people.
Well, funding and, of course, with religion trying to push your way into everything, you ought to see what schools here in Texas are doing. It's freaking horrible. One of the recent school books that Texas just authorized is that Moses actually helped found the USA or some sort of shit like that. God. It's just off the chain bad, and things are getting worse because they're allowing this to happen. It's the old timers in government that are, that's right, and then the kids aren't learning anything. They get tired of washing out. It's just horrible.
Yeah. Do you know what's really sad about Texas? I was in 8th grade and I went to Texas and lived with my brother. And I switched from a Minnesota school in northern Minnesota to 8th grade in Texas. And I had to work my ass off. And they offered me I think I was taking American literature as an elective for English. And I was taking tennis as an elective for Phi Ed. And later, if I'd stuck it out, I could have taken physiology for elective for biology. And the Texas school was 2 years or more ahead of the Minnesota school. And somebody told me that today that's not the case anymore in Texas at all, that they've slipped way behind what our education was. But that was my experience.
I can address this directly as someone who's been through it. I lived in I lived in 7 states, 2 cities each, 4 cities in Florida and 2 in Germany. And honestly, I had 3 different high schools, Kansas, Florida and Germany, and the problem is we don't have a standard of education nationwide.
Yeah,
it's ruled statewide and then ruled locally, and that's all done by local funding. So there's not even an equivalent accreditation system. So in Kansas, it would take me 16 credit hours for 4 years. In Florida, 12 credit hours for 4 years. Now both of those maths add up unless you interchange them like I had to do. Then I went to Germany, where it's based off of Baltimore, Maryland school system, which is 32 credit hours for 4 years. And none of the systems added up. So there's no standard of education, unlike, say, Japan, and I don't know about China possibly, but there's no standard of education. So in order to bring our scores up, we got to actually bring our standards up, not down. I knew a gal, she was one of my best friends in Florida. She attended 12 years of school, and instead of getting at least a GED or a graduation, they just kept pushing her up to the charts. She got out as a functional illiterate, and they just gave her a certificate of completion. She literally could not sign her own name. That's how they just kept pushing her up there. I mean, there's something wrong with that. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, the schools in Minnesota are far better now than they were back in the 60s. In the 60s, they tried, but they were just really bad. I mean, they just didn't have. But anyway, that was my experience in the 60s going to Texas, is that Texas was way ahead of us in education. And today, that's not the case anymore. They've slipped back with this biblical bullshit.
I agree, Robin. And I think that they are pushing us on purpose down so that, because you can't rule a population that's smart enough to like see what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I understand areas that, especially with the influence, like Joe has talked before about Kentucky having all the creationism in the schools and stuff. But I went to public schools and I had biology class. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I went to the best schools or anything, but what I'm saying is I get upset with my peers that I know had at least a similar education, right? And should know better. You know what I mean? I'm not faulting people that in other areas, but in the public schools around here, we had biology class. So, you were in the same class as me, right? So.
Well, I am a high school dropout, even after, because of that accreditation problem. But I agree. So leaving Germany and joining the Navy, they're like, okay, so which GED do you want to take? And so I chose Florida, and Florida's GED was higher than most of the other states, and yet they had a lower school system. What? That made no sense.
Yeah, no sense, right? Just puts the bar up. Yep. Yeah, we had a really good biology teacher in 9 through 12, I think he taught. And I never heard evolution in school, ever. I mean, it was never anything that they actually taught in high school biology. They may mention it now, but I got a feeling they spend about 3 hours on it.
Probably mostly it would have been, I took a science class every year in high school, and one of them was human physiology. And I think in that, you learn about all the different bones and muscles and how they're similar in different species and stuff like that. Yeah, now they're not standing up there saying evolution, evolution, evolution. Everybody bow down and pray. Evolution. Have a cracker. Evolution, evolution, evolution. It's just, but the wording would be in there. Yeah, that these species are related because they have the same bones and the same muscles and the same ligaments and the same genes and the same this and this and this and this. But yeah, I don't remember ever being hit over the head saying evolution, evolution, evolution. It was biology.
Yeah.
It was physiology, and these things were in there. But when people say, they're preaching evolution, it's like it's in the science. It's not a thing of itself. It's you just don't say evolution, 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 evolution. You talk about, look at the frog. We dissected a frog. I don't know if everybody did that. We did it. It was the classic thing. You dissected the frog, right? And look what's in there. Wow, there's the little heart, kind of looks like yours, right?
Yeah.
And there's the liver and all that. Yeah. And without having to say evolution, evolution. Yeah.
Hey, Purple. Yeah, the Catholic Church. Actually, I think the Catholic Church was fine with evolution before they were fine with left-handed people. Because I know when I was a kid, I did have to get two grades with Catholic school, and I was left-handed at the time. No, I'm not anymore. So, thanks to yardstick and I mean none, but okay. But at least okay. So even my gripes about the church and the Catholic primary school, their education was 2 grades higher than public school. So when I got out of Catholic school in 3rd grade, I had to wait till 5th grade before they caught up. Of course, that was Florida at the time, but yeah, I mean, come on, guys, something's got to be done here.
Yeah, one of the things I've always found a little strange, shall we say, is for a start, evolution as an idea was accepted by Christians before Darwin, of course. It was only when Darwin made it a more rigorous empirical science that things started to, a few of the fundamentalists started to have problems with it. So that's interesting. But the point I wanted to make most, I guess, which is why I kind of came on, is that even the fundamentalists accept evolution when they put the word micro on it.
Yeah.
Right. And we know that there's no distinction between macro and micro. Right.
They didn't always accept that. Like back in the 60s and 70s, I think they were beaten into it by the facts.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the idea of evolution is a Christian idea, right? Or at least in terms of the West. Before Darwin, people realized that there was this connection going on. We're all animals, etc., etc. There was no real contradiction. Darwin put it on a scientific basis, and when it was put on a scientific basis, that excluded God from doing it. So they thought. It doesn't, of course, but that's what they thought. So and that made it a lot more rigorous and empirical. And so the arguments then started coming that it could be done, or at least diversification could be done without God. And so atheists obviously wanted to emphasize that point. But it makes no difference. It absolutely makes no difference. So that's why the Catholic Church had to accept it in the end. Right? It's because they have to accept microevolution. They have to accept that.
Well, I think the Catholic Church is a little different in that they go for a more metaphorical interpretation of Christianity. At least I don't know much about Catholics or Christianity, but I've had occasion to talk to some priests, and they just did not seem to me to believe in anything supernatural at all. They were more metaphorical in their religion.
Well,
they do like to throw out magic. They don't want to conflate magic with miracles.
Right.
They're very scared about that happening.
So as someone who studied I attempted to be clergy in both Catholic and Baptist denominations. And one of the things I noticed, so most people in the church consider the communion thing to be ritualistic. All right. It's not, it has nothing to do with actual magic. The problem I came into, there's a couple with the Catholic Church, but one of them is I got a hold of a Jesuit textbook. And a Jesuit is the highest order of the Catholic Church. And not everybody comes from the same order. It's different colleges and shit like that. And Jesuits are their lawyers and their doctors and shit. But in one of the Jesuit handbooks, it literally said, seeing as we know God can do anything, we must assume that the wafers now of the body and the blood's now the wine. So it actually said it in the text, but this is supposedly the magic that happened, which I caught way off guard. I had not left my determination to leave the priesthood of Catholicism yet. There's some other problems that went on. And then when I found those and I confronted a local priest about it, I got the answers I didn't want, well, per se. It actually pushed me out of there. And then I went and tried Baptist, found out they were wrong too. Then I went just straight to the book and I found out the book's wrong about the book. So it's been an interesting road.
Yeah. I don't know, Ellen Watts was a Buddhist interpreter in America, and he talked about Christianity, and he said that if he had to choose a Christian religion to be a part of, or a Christian denomination to be a part of, it would be Catholicism, because they had all of this ritual, and when you walked into a Catholic church, you got this certain feeling of spirituality and holiness, right? I mean, it was you could hear the choir singing, and they talked in Latin, and basically it was all sort of surreal and spooky. Yeah, and his idea was that that's what it's about. It's about the feeling. It's not about the dogma at all.
And also, the Catholic Church has a sense that, they have this infallible argument against other forms of Christianity, it seems, which is, the Bible supports their idea of popeism. Right.
That-
Now, I know Protestants completely disagree with this, of
Yeah.
course, but you try arguing with the Catholic on any particular point about the Bible, and they will just come straight out and say, it's tradition.
Well, that was one of the issues I had with the Catholics. All the Protestants they just didn't know what was going on, so they're going to go to hell. And then the Baptists, like, Catholics aren't even Christian. So I mean, I've got the view from both sides of this argument. And then, of course, after that, I would have been out of the religion so much quicker if I had access to this much information, because there's 40,000 denominations of Christianity. These people can't even agree on their own book.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's what I always point out, that with all the attacks that the religions do on other groups, in the end, if they had their own way, they would end up infighting and go after themselves, because that's just what they want to do, is they want to have the conflict.
That's the idea I got about this evolution creationism thing. We should just let the fundies and the Catholics fight it out, and leave us atheists out of it. We're minority in this country.
I'd love to agree with you, but that's playing into their hands, because there's nothing more than they like than being the victim.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And that's why you can't win against them. You know, you literally, and if you like, unless you say, oh well, no, you're perfectly fine to hold your belief. This is my personal tactic. You're perfectly fine to hold your beliefs. I've got no problem with you holding your beliefs, your dogmas. That's fine. But you are, of course, you know, it seems to me that these are the facts. Right, and then they go, "Oh, okay." And you disagree with them, right? You just say a fact which completely disagrees with them, and you go, "Yeah, but I don't mind you having your beliefs. That's fine. You know, you're not a victim." Right?
But when you're working at university, and the class is biology or anything else that's not theology,
sure,
then that goes right back to, is the business. The parents, the students, whoever are spending a lot of money to learn what they're learning. And again, it would be the same way that if with Bard Ehrman, if they're sending their child and spending a lot of money again to learn theology, and they're not learning theology, they have the equal right to be upset and take actions against a professor or anybody else for not doing their job. Yeah. That's what it is. It's not their beliefs. They're supposed to be doing a job.
To Bart's credit, even when he went, his studies threw him into agnostic, but because he did his own research, which is great. But to his credit, he's able to keep that out of the classroom as he's teaching his New Testament studies, which is great. I can see why he would keep that under wraps, and that's a good thing, because that's his job. And unless you want to lose your job, you gotta like toe the line. Like I said, there's a couple other things that I disagree with him on, but
I don't think he keeps it under wraps.
No, he keeps it under wraps in his class.
I mean, he teaches. I don't think he does that either, because like he teaches Bible. He studies, right? And that's a very literal thing to do, right? Because he speaks the languages, right? So you can say, well, this is what the Greek means, and this is what this means. And that's exactly not, you can teach all of that and still not believe it to be true yourself. There's no contradiction there.
And he goes home to his wife, who's a believer. She, you know, and he, I mean, it's not like I don't love my wife anymore or something like that, because they have differences there either.
Well, one of the things that I heard him say, one of the things I heard him say that he did was get his students to read the Gospels line by line rather than as an entire Gospel. And of course, that's pointing out, apparent contradictions. Right? How many people were at the opening of the tomb? How many people, how did the tomb open? How did, like all of this stuff, right? And he will get his students to go through that.
Well,
hang on. Now, one of the things I will say is that is arming them against future criticism, right? And that's the way it can be defended. But at the same time, right, they also are being exposed to very good arguments of textual criticism against the book. right? So you can see how he can justify some of what he does in terms of his, he's strengthening the students against criticism, which gives them a better, stronger belief, like we know. You will use your reason and your education to defend your views, not to change it necessarily. And so, I don't think there's any contradiction with him saying, well, look, I'm an agnostic and I'm going to teach things which may challenge the students.
Well, he has actually stated that he doesn't even bring that up. He has actually stated that most of his students don't even know that till like close to in the class, if they even ask him. But for me, one of the things
stated that he does this exercise with all of his students.
One of the things that helped break me slowly away was one of my first papers was I was doing a study between Paul and the Gospels. Now, at that time, I did not have the data I got now. So I thought that because the way Gospels are written, it does look like it's firsthand. Hey, I saw this. Hey, I saw that. But I noticed a contrast between Paul's Jesus and the Gospel's Jesus. And I'm like, wait a minute. So actually, my paper is actually titled Paul versus the Gospels, where I thought Paul was the outlier because he actually admits he never met him. And that Paul's Jesus was a lot more angry or more authoritarian than the Gospels, who seemed a lot more loving and caring, etc. Now, I didn't realize it. Like I said, I didn't have the data I got now, which means Paul was the first to write about him, and then the Gospels came later. I did not know that. But the same thing happened, though. I noticed a huge contrast between what this side said versus that side. And that's in the same book. So, yeah.
Well, it's in the same. It's not really the same book.
Same set of books, yeah.
Yeah, but also it's worth noting that Paul claims to be the only eyewitness to the resurrection. Right? None of the other gospel writers necessarily are the gospel writers, and
Paul met Jesus as a ghost, so he never saw jack shit.
Well,
that was his first
obviously
that's his first encounter.
I don't think Jesus resurrected, but nonetheless,
no, of course not.
So none of them did, but nonetheless, at least he is an eyewitness in terms of he wrote his experience directly, whereas none of the others, all of the others are just reported.
Oh yeah. I see I see you're going with that. Yeah, he actually said he had this encounter, and it was his personal encounter. Now, a lot of times.
Sorry, can I just interrupt, Logan? No, sure. What I'm saying is Paul claims to have witnessed the resurrected Jesus.
Oh yeah.
That was what I was claiming, not that he has seen the resurrection.
Well, he had an experience. He didn't he see him not in a bodily form, but in a
no, he didn't see him bodily. Yeah,
he did.
No, he did not. He did not see him bodily. He said he heard him.
Yeah. So I'd had similar.
There was a bright light, and he was blinded, and he heard the voice.
I read a paper recently saying that Paul was actually epileptic, so he might have had a seizure. And that's actually, I have who wrote that up and why on in the background if you want me to look it up real quick. But yeah, so there are issues even with that. But yeah, no, Paul said it from first person that I had this experience on the road to Damascus.
Well, he also had a trance or two, and a lot of these things can be brought on by things like fasting that are mentioned a lot in the Bible. Sweating. A lot of ways to induce these things that cultures have done without using drugs, although some have also used drugs to induce these things.
Okay, so the paper was written up by a paper on neuropsychiatry and clinical neurosis, and it was talking about St. Paul, Saul of Tarsus, and it said that he had. It has been speculated that in his religious experiences were resulted from temporal lobe epilepsy. And that was in a paper from, like I said, neuropsychiatry. So there's other people thinking on this. And then also another thing people didn't realize is in Paul's own writings, he says he lies for God. So there's that.
Would that explain his temporary blindness problems?
Yes. Because it would be like a striking, almost like an instant flash of brightness. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got that paper
passed out.
Sounds like a reasonable explanation.
Oh, James is here. Hi, James.
Maybe too
Hey,
too
guys.
reasonable. Hello, James.
Hey there,
Hey,
guys.
James.
So yeah, I've read that paper before. It's Dr. Robert Sapolsky.
Is that
Okay.
Oh
Sapolsky?
wow. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a different one by, let's see, D. Lansborough that talks about Paul's physical state at the time of his conversion. So let me see. So Sapolsky has one too, eh?
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and see if I can find that one. Anyway, I had one of these experiences when I was 15 years old, a burning bush experience that lasted for 3 days. And I've read accounts of people that have had similar experiences after an epileptic seizure. And something, basically for me, it was a extreme stress. I had a pretty fucked up teenage upbringing, and it launched me into this 3-day period where everything appeared like it was on fire. Like I mean, in a wonderful way, and it was an extremely peaceful experience, and it was very transformative.
Some people just want to see the world burn.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway, that single experience transformed my entire life. It is still with me today, and it still basically has a lot to do with my calling myself a spiritual atheist, because it was a powerful experience. But I was an atheist before, during, and after the experience. I never saw God. I did get a lot of insights into my own situation, but I didn't see God. But everything was like, it was in the middle of the winter in northern Minnesota, about 40 below, and the snow was as white as I've ever seen snow. It was like a burning white. It was unbelievable. Everything was cool and then it went away after 3 days, and then the 60s happened, and I tried to get it back with LSD 100 times. I took LSD trying to get it back. But it was really, really interesting. So, I mean, these experiences, and what I've heard of Paul, some people have interpreted the burning bush as if you took some mushrooms and looked at a willow tree in the spring or the winter, they have a brilliant orange and red to them, and they look like they're on fire. So I don't know.
Stephanie wants to know what Sal's doing.
Oh, okay. This is the moment where Sal. This is the exact moment where Sal's guest says, let me quote here.
Darwin's done or something.
Is collapsing. It's falling apart. And Sal got that look on his face right at that moment. I mean, that is an orgasm of some sort. I mean,
you can tell he's thinking, I'm vindicated.
I'm vindicated. Yes.
A biologist says it. I'm vindicated.
This Bible school professor just told me that Darwinism is collapsing.
Take that, all of academia.
Yeah, I think professor is a little stretch there in my estimation, but anyway.
Yeah.
There you go.
My hubby's pagan. I'm atheist, and he does sometimes still use his old prayer book and stuff like that. But we've had very few fights over it. Occasionally, it's come up where I've said nothing happens after death. He says there is because he calls himself a pagan Catholic, whatever.
Yeah.
But very few fights. We've been together 22 years, and most of our fights aren't over anything of that nature. So yeah.
Yeah, I've got a close friend that believes in the woo. The more pagan spiritual stuff, and we carefully avoid confrontation over it. But every now and then I'll give her a zinger and she'll give me one. We'll have proof on both sides. It's there, but anyway, pretty cool.
So
Anyway,
we got any more Sal tidbits there?
Oh, let's see. Okay, there's that part.
I was going to say, it's nice to see Sal back.
Yeah, I try to get along with folks on the internet, but as far as I know, Sal's the only one that has me blocked.
I was kind of hoping he was gone forever and ever. I don't know. That's just me.
If he's out there, I don't know. So
one fewer creationist in the world makes me happy.
Yeah, no, I can understand it, but it is supposed to be a debate community, and
I want them to be in awe of their creator, and I want them.
I'm sorry.
That's right. As passive aggressive opponents go, Sal's got no teeth, really.
Yeah.
Like his version of passive aggressive is just to say something like slam a book on the table, right?
Well, he's got that stupid protein orchard argument. Everybody has been trying to talk him out of it. And he's going around giving talks on it. He's just embarrassing himself over and over again. And
There you go.
It's just
There you go.
And I guess that's probably a good thing. Let him embarrass himself.
Yeah, obviously that's the way it's done. I mean, if we didn't have people to argue with or debate in inverted commas, then there wouldn't be much of a community, would it? A debate community. So
yeah,
if you can't cancel everybody on the other side and think that you're not going to end up in an echo chamber.
Well, yeah,
I keep telling people, no, you've got to be at least forgiving, even if their arguments are a pap.
If it weren't for Sal Cordova, I would know far less about zinc finger proteins than I know. I mean,
there you go.
He basically inspired me. He is my inspiration. Actually, I should send him a letter and tell him that. Thank you, Sal. You have inspired me. But I've got a directory with about 200 papers on zinc finger proteins, and I pretty much. Plus, I've downloaded, I think, the sequence for every zinc finger protein in the human genome. Annotated. So, yeah.
Anyway. You can take the thing. The he, by the way, people, he teaches textual criticism. Is Bart Ehrman. That was from some time ago.
Purple says...
I still have that message up?
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
Purple says Frank Turek... Bander.
Yep.
Yeah, I was on the Griftianity stream the other day when Turek was on there, and I kept getting timed out. I got timed out more than I've ever got timed out since the last time Frank Turek was live.
Yeah.
They don't like my questions. Frank don't like my questions at all, and neither do the mods.
I'm
Frank
surprised.
don't like questions. I've noticed that.
He likes setup questions. He doesn't like real questions.
Exactly.
Dave, how long is it going to be before you and I get banned by Jim Bob?
Well, B.S. Lewis said he got banned. I can't believe that. I thought
They banned him?
That's what he said earlier. He was asking old Joe if he could put the word in there to get him unbanned.
He was on there all the time. I mean, it's I'm guessing we've got about a month left at the most, and we're going to get banned.
Yeah, I even caught him on being a dum-dum, and he didn't block me, so I don't know.
Let them have their echo chambers.
Okay, this is a public service announcement for Purple Rhymes with Orange. You take the mushroom home, okay, and you bend it or squeeze it a little bit and wait for 5 or 10 minutes, and it should turn blue. The mushroom should have an annulus, a little noticeable ring. It'll have blue to purple spores or brown, and it will have a hollow stem. And you can be pretty goddamn sure you got the right mushrooms if all those things match up. Anyway,
don't get the wrong ones though.
Don't get the wrong ones. There are two other species of mushrooms that bruise blue. One of them is poisonous, but the blue is very, very different than psilocybin blue. So I would go ahead and look at pictures, but it's very easy because the psilocybin turns into a polymer as soon as you squeeze the mushroom a little bit, and it's very, very rapid.
Those were the ones John was on when he saw that shit for the last books or whatever, Revelations. He's on those.
Yeah.
That's mushroom.
Yeah.
BS says he thinks his last video got too personal. Probably the eggplant there, BS.
Yeah, again, that's one guy that is extremely passive aggressive in his debating tactics, and like I can take it or leave it, because he's basically just trying to start an argument in order to. He's trying to be a Jay Dyer, right?
Yeah,
I've heard him give a Jay Dyer argument before as well, so he obviously knows him.
Somebody said he started out in flirfing too.
Oh, really?
He's just feeding to the whoever will give him a super chat.
Okay,
So
he doesn't understand why the atmosphere doesn't rush into outer space.
yeah,
That
Wow.
no shit. He said that out
Wow.
loud, and he argued with me about it.
and he won't give me a straight answer about literal Noah's Ark either.
And what was the other thing he came up with? He kind of indicated that he didn't quite believe NASA actually sent rovers to Mars.
Yep. And the jab,
Yeah.
Hang
right
a
on
minute.
down the climate change, right on down the line. Yeah, anything that he can feed to those dum-dums in the chat.
Anyone
Hang on a
who's
minute.
worked
What
for
do
the
you mean
government
by
knows you can't
what?
do
Do, hang on a minute. What do you mean Speed by doesn't quite believe it? Like they got like 90% of the way there and then stopped. Something?
Oh yeah, right.
What
No,
the?
he thinks all the funds are being diverted to military projects, basically,
Oh, yeah, right.
and then they just produce videos of us on the moon and all
Yeah,
that.
he's one
Because
of
of
the ones
course-
that I'm
Because of
not
course the military
saying,
need that extra
but
1%, right? Yeah.
yeah, I'm not saying this, but you know what I mean. And then the people in the chat go, "Yeah, see," and then there goes the super. Every time he says one of those things, you see it. There goes the super chats. He's making them happy. So
Yeah.
One of the most comical things was this video here, Evolution Boy Responds, where you had Andrew, irrational empiricist, on, and he was talking about mutations, and it was just, if you want to see stupid when it comes to evolution, just watch.
he's clearly outmatched.
I think maybe I'm not sure what I have here. 122. Let me see what I got.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's right, Rochelle.
Whatever that happened. In our
He's full of conspiracy stuff.
Let me play this for a minute.
time frame, it looks like random. Isn't that logically possible? Like mathematically, that something that we call random is still just an expression, but we don't fully grasp the full system of how rare it seems to us that this single thing happens.
Sure, but that would only apply for a small sample size, where in this case, mutations happen all the time.
Right, but most mutations, do they produce a new directive system that produces new appendages?
It's absolutely amazing.
What?
I don't know. And then he goes on and he starts saying, when does the mutation turn into a beneficial trait? And it's like,
Well,
okay.
I would just answer yes. My girlfriend gives me a mutation every now and again, which gives me a new appendage.
Yep.
The problem with people who believe in magic, trying to address science, is they actually truly think that something should just happen. So evolution shouldn't take thousands and millions of years. It should just happen. It should happen in my lifetime. I should see it happen, and it doesn't work that way.
Yeah. And also as well that they have to. They genuinely think that the answer "God done it" is an explanation. And they think it's an explanation, and so they have a very vague idea of what explanation is.
And it's more than that. It's God has to have done it, because he's Darth Dawkins, like, where without it, then there's nothing, and you can't even think or have a brain or have a thought or blah 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 blah.
But the point being is that if you think that is an explanation of how something was done, right, you're playing on a different field, right? Because that's a why answer, not a how answer. Right. We're looking for the mechanism when we talk about explanations in science. We're not looking for why, right?
Yeah.
So
I've got a little treat here. I think this is the part. But anyway, just give this a listen.
Eyes after passing on that genetic sequence. So the trait that is produced by that sequence is also passed on. So the offspring that organism has will also have that trait. So that trait continues propagating despite the fact that the original organism died. So it doesn't matter if the original organism knew if it was going to die or not. The trait still.
Yeah, but I'm asking, why is it beneficial to pass on a trait that's at the moment useless?
It's not at the moment useless. That's why I was saying.
How is it not useless?
Because it helps it survive.
Hold on. If there's a trait that's useless, let's say a nub starts growing. The animal has no use for it. It's using energy. It requires calories or whatever that is at this moment in time. basically it doesn't
A
do
nub.
anything. This function hasn't been created yet. For instance, if we go back to the gametes, the very production of the gametes you admitted said that had no real function or advantage at that first moment of time.
That's not what I said.
Okay. So what's the advantage of?
Okay, so you know what he was talking about with a nub? He has this whole theory that there was a mutation that created a nub penis, and the nub penis didn't do anything, right? And he
I
talks
thought I
about,
was joking with my girlfriend joke, but actually no, that is what he
no,
was talking about.
he really actually fucking came up with that. It's like, oh, the nub penis doesn't do anything. How could it possibly do anything? And it's like, oh, he's trying to explain sex to himself. But it reminds
I would point out the hyenas. Okay.
It reminds me of when I was a 6-year-old boy trying to explain sex to myself.
The hyenas, I guess, are like impossible to sex, and they just kind of rub against each other, and they manage to get things done.
Well, a lot of fucking animals just did that for a long time, and
Well,
so
that is the problem.
Extensions beyond that are all evolution. But all you need to do is get close enough to exchange genetic information. You don't have to have a fancy nub.
Fancy nub, yeah.
You don't need the fancy nub, yeah.
Yeah.
Kalasia, someone said, and I don't remember who it was, that it's something to the effect of it's the ignorant that are absolutely competent. It's the ones that are still wondering about it that aren't, something to that effect.
Well, the interesting thing is the whole time he's having this conversation, he's looking down when he's talking about the nub. He's got that downcast look.
Maybe he's reading something. I don't know.
He's always following the chat.
Oh,
he's thinking. He's looking at his
no,
microphone, thinking, "Oh, I could do with a nub right now."
He's like Tucker Carlson. He's got this whole fucking range of expressions that he does that are Tucker Carlson imitations, and it's kind of amazing. The guy actually does know how to produce a live show. I will give him that. He has one fucking talent, and that's being a YouTube performer.
Well, it's not exactly a high standard here, right? We're not talking about like directing Star Wars or anything, are we?
No. Well, yeah.
Well, that's what I wonder. Is he really that dumb, or is he smart enough to know the people in the audience are dumb enough to swallow it?
I think the latter. I think he's a grift. He's pure grift. John Maddox was obviously pure grift. Yeah. And as soon as his grift didn't work out, he left just completely, totally.
He was on a program called Fresh and Fit.
Really?
Yeah, and you could tell he was on with that Andrew guy, and you could tell. I don't know, a month ago or something.
No.
You could tell. I think it was perfectly obvious to me that he was grifting.
Yeah.
Like he was there smiling because he was on stage with people that were more important than him, and not actually adding much. And then when he did, it was to drag the conversation back into the mud again in order to get controversy going.
Yep.
That's what I asked Ozian that one day. He talks to a lot of the flat earthers, and I said, what's it? And he said, it's super chats. He said they're feeding it. It's a grift. It's totally for money. The more outrageous things they say, the bigger super chats they get. So of course they're going to keep doing it, right?
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, he said, watch. The more outrageous things they say, more super chats will show up. Watch a Flurf stream sometime and you'll see it. And I was like, okay, I'll take your word for it, because I'm not into that's just too much for me. But he's out there debating them, so I take his word for it.
God, I'm tempted. I'm really tempted to do a conversion, an on-screen conversion, and just get a following.
Oh yeah.
And come up with the stupidest shit I can think of, and just fucking, because I mean I've got the vocabulary down, right? The vocabulary. I could really, if I were a good liar, I could really fucking make money at this shit.
Well, if you're really good, you can do Joel Osteen, but you can just put on a Hawaiian shirt and babble nonsense and stick your hand out, and apparently lots of people give him money.
Yep.
Well, if I was a good liar, I would stay a Christian.
I hate to call back to the old days, but I do recall Brett Keane being an atheist, and then grifting to Christianity, and then back to atheism, and then back to Christianity. Each
then
time he did it, he made more and more money.
And then into a manatee.
Well, yeah. Oh no, who was that? Seitan Atheist. Oh, do you remember that, Dave?
Yeah.
There was he did an opera, Brett Keane, the MF opera.
Yep.
Where are we here?
The manatee was everywhere for a while there.
It was the meme, yeah. Very good.
Right, Purple?
Down traits?
No, it is useful to the organism because it helps it produce more offspring. That's what.
How does a useless trait help produce more offspring?
All right, begging the question.
Let's say I have a useless trait
poisoning the well,
of a certain mole, right? That's just a weird mole on a weird part of my body or whatever, on my face or something.
Sexual selection.
Yeah. Now, let's say it just so happens that just keeps passing on down to my children, right? Now, can you please tell me how such an example would be beneficial to sexual selection or
she likes it.
Yeah, there you go.
Well,
if she likes your mole, you're going to score. There you go.
How does the receding hairline help, for instance?
Okay. Listen.
Is he still trying to figure out how junk DNA applies? I don't know.
No, listen to this.
Well, a mole specifically wouldn't.
Okay, so where's this delineation between a trait that's also as useless, like a nub, that might become a penis in a million years?
There it is. There it is.
Yeah, there it is.
Isn't that great?
A nub.
My nub.
Love it.
That might become a penis in a million years.
Right.
Yeah. I bet when he's talking to his wife, he goes, "Shall I? Do you want to play with my nub?"
All right.
Breakfast tacos. Breakfast tacos is out there too, Mike.
What's that? Oh, where?
The breakfast tacos stopped through too, Mike.
Oh, hi. I did not.
Jay's out there. Jay Passick's out there.
Twitter's here, and Jay's here.
Hey,
So
guys,
lots of folks.
Yes.
Yes, Jay, you're exactly right. Of course.
Why does that keep not popping up? I don't know. Anyway.
Yes, BS. You're just that good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's what can I say? It's an evolutionary trait that speed has.
I've got the attention span of a fucking gnat. So when I put something up, I just quickly forget it's there. So I'm sorry.
Well, they don't understand. It doesn't matter what it is, or if you can see it or not. It doesn't matter. It's if the organism can reproduce, and if it does, whatever it is gets passed on. If it shows or not, it just comes down to who managed to reproduce.
I have never looked into penis evolution. I really should, because
like Purple was pointing out, and I mentioned with the hyenas, that they just got things, and some of it swells up and gets happy, but you don't need Jim Bob wants a fully nubbed nub, but you don't need a fully nubbed nub. All you need to do is rub together. That's all you need to do.
A rub nub.
And if you go to plants, some plants use the wind. If you use some marine life, they just discharge into the water, and hopefully the stuff does its thing, right? So you don't even have to be in direct contact, right? It just has to exchange the information. That's all it has to do.
Okay, guys, do not look up penis evolution.
Well, no, funny you say that. I've done a lot of research myself, mainly on Pornhub.
Well, some of the variations on penises, you do not want to see that.
Well, Mike, they're all waiting for when theirs is going to evolve to be a little bigger. So they're really concerned with that. So.
Andrew,
we're not rub nub a bit hard.
Yeah, they got a lot of little nubs over there.
Yeah.
We're not reviewing it. Andrew, we're not reviewing it right now. We're just picking up a couple of things. But God, we really should review this, because he said some really hilarious things about mutations turning into something else, and then he mispronounced stochastic, how did he pronounce? I can't remember what he. There were some things that just confused him so much. It was just unbelievable to listen to him talk to Andrew.
Yeah, I mean, I
well,
take
you know,
it as a bad
he says, "Oh, evolution, you think you're a monkey." That's one of his things. So.
He thought he had the upper hand on this conversation. It was so bad.
Of course
oh my
he
God,
does.
does.
Of course he does. I mean, that's one of the great things about like these guys, him and Andrew, coming round to this part of the community, right? Because they have no idea. They have no idea of the history of and the debate styles that we have around the place.
Yep.
Right. I mean, no idea at all. Right. I'm sure they think, because Andrew like debated Dillahunty and absolutely thrashed him, inverted commas, right? Despite the fact that that was a disgraceful outrage and performance, right? They got no idea that behind Dillahunty is a mob of people who would love to get in that situation and absolutely destroy Dillahunty for one reason or another, both sides, And so it's just crazy that they think they can waltz in and go, oh no, well, I'm intellectually superior because I've made a couple of YouTube videos with more fallacies than you can poke a hole in,
Yeah.
Speaking of fallacies, Nub.
Yeah, Nub.
They have a lot of fallacy issues.
Yeah, they do. Seems that way.
We have a family friend that's so horribly depressed right now because of the stupidity of the human race. and I don't know what to say to her because I really can't defend it. I can't.
Jay's backstage, it looks like.
Oh, okay. Shit. Oh.
Yeah, of course. We're overthinking.
Well, normally I have Scott here to kind of keep things going. I mean, I don't do this shit, man.
I'm trying to help out. I'm not worthy of Scott's shoes because.
Oh no, I should give you the keys to my Restream.
I don't have the righteous beard or anything, but
well, you don't have the keys to the kingdom.
I've come in here to shill for certain types of recommended bag bombs because I think Mike is milking this Lulz cow dry.
What?
A bag bomb, man.
Yeah, for the udders on that Lulz cow. Holy.
Well, you call them udders. We call them nubs.
I didn't realize you were a farm boy until just now. I mean, if you know bag bomb, right?
Oh, Well,
either you're a farm boy or you've been to some really fucking bad whorehouses.
I'm not going to even justify that.
Okay.
What is Jim? Because I've been meaning to get back to this one video where Leo and him are talking about materialism.
Yeah.
I haven't got back to that one. I kind of lost track of it. But is this guy just kind of gives me the impression that he's just like incredulous to anything that non-believers hold to that have been used as arguments, against either a creation myth or something like that. And then he's just trying to basically make it sound as ridiculous as possible so that other people will go, yeah, that's absolutely stupid, and be just as incredulous as him. And then for some reason think that now it's reasonable to fall back on some religion for the answers. Is that correct, or is my perception completely fucked there?
Yes. The interesting thing with Jim Bob is he will always try to move you like one level up and ask you eventually, how do you decide between one idea and another? He'll always go to, and I think he did that with Leo and he did it with me. And it's like, by what standard do you atheists decide that one idea is better than another?
Well, see, we can get into foundationalism, coherentism.
Well, he's got these 3 videos, doesn't he, that he thinks are solid arguments against atheism.
Yeah.
And so he tries all of those first, and then if all of those fails, he tries to go to precept. Although, again, the difference being is he uses the Psi 10 Bruggencate version of precept, which is terrible. So he's bad on all his arguments. And when he started, the one I really liked was the one with Leo, because Leo was so patient with him. He was so patient with him, and I thought it was an excellent performance by Leo, really excellent, because he didn't respond to any of the passive aggressive stuff, which was going to take him to presuppositionalism. He literally was just answering the questions on physicalism and saying, well, look, this is why your video is wrong.
Yeah.
You know, there you go. It's a category error. So bang, that's enough to say, you know.
But it does seem like, yeah, I guess I don't know, because it looks like he's doing the same thing to atheists. That's like, I've done this in the past where, if you get a conversation with theists and you ask them for convincing, like, okay, you believe this, I used to believe this, I'm no longer convinced, you're convinced, kind of thing. Like, what convinces you? Can you give me any reason that maybe I haven't even thought of to be convinced of this again, whatever. And he seems to be kind of doing the same thing, but he's doing it to atheists or non-believers, however you want to put it, as a way of basically breaking down their convictions of their position of not being convinced God or gods to exist as being ridiculous. Because I really don't know this guy's shtick all that well. I've only seen glimpses of it. But everything that he seems to be doing seems to be like either trying to basically get a person to break down to a default position, which the default position, maybe he holds to this idea that the default position is to believe that there is a God. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that there isn't a God.
Yeah.
That's what I kind of hear from his undertones in the way that he's presenting this. And I'm like, bitch, I don't have to give you any alternatives or anything at all in relation to what I think is the necessary precondition for everything or anything like that. I'm not convinced or God or gods. You think God or gods or a particular God is the necessary precondition for everything.
For knowledge.
Explain it to me.
Yeah.
And let's go from there.
He won't. He'll just ask questions. You should watch him when he's live streaming. Maybe go into his program for about 10 minutes and have a conversation with him, and you will within 10 minutes understand him completely. His whole shtick. There's one other thing, and Stephanie kind of brought it out, and that's when he talks to or about women. These guys, I swear, it's a parody. That they can't possibly be serious about what they say about women. And like,
I got to roll, guys. Thanks for letting me join you, but
okay, Michael.
All right, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay.
See you later.
Yeah. I mean, it is so archaic. With like the only value that a woman has is to stay home and make dinner and have children, and they say this out loud in so many different ways. That it's got to be a parody. They can't really.
Their caricatures of women are like something drawn from a bad comic.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Well, I mean,
that's the other part of Jim.
Maybe from 2 centuries ago.
That too, yeah.
Yeah. Which, I mean, it's kind of makes sense. They're following a book which is 2 millennia old. So,
Let's see. What is this? If mutations are probabilistic, then sharing any one mutation between unrelated species is statistically unlikely. Well, mutations are probabilistic. Sharing any one mutation between unrelated species. Oh, yeah. Well, wait a minute.
What?
I'm not sure. Okay.
I'm not sure you know what a mutation is.
Yeah, right. I don't know what it is.
I mean, you're conflating the idea of what a mutation is there.
I think so.
And no, two unrelated species don't share. Like they don't share. Like they can't have children.
They can't
reproduce, so they can't share a mutation in that sense. But obviously, like nature does fall upon similar ways to resolve particular issues with physics. That's just how that goes. So eyes have independently developed several times in the history of evolution.
Well, two unrelated species, but define an unrelated species to me. I'd like to know what that is.
Therefore, the theory of uncommon ancestry. What is uncommon ancestry?
I don't know. Statistically impossible. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would agree. Uncommon ancestry is statistically impossible.
Yeah, they probably mean common ancestry is statistically.
No, I think he means uncommon. That basically,
and also putting statistically before the word impossible seems a little. I don't know what to say,
this is a weird. Well. Yeah, this is a long syllogism, but I think I'm getting.
Yeah, what he's showing is that basically, if you have two different species, to say they are unrelated, and then to admit that they have all of these mutations which are neutral or Yeah, neutral mutations would be statistically impossible. That there's no way that that many mutations could be in two branches unless they had a common ancestor. So that's the argument. And that's why creationists want to believe that every mutation is beneficial. They have to prove, they have to believe that they're all beneficial. Otherwise, there's no way that they could be there.
Why would see, and that's the weird thing. Why would they argue that when you have Christians that think that without God, all of nature would just descend into disorder and chaos?
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Andrew.
Yeah, I don't know.
So Andrew says he's showing that common ancestry is statistically more likely than separate ancestry.
Right, right.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought he was. When I read that one, that's what I was like, I think this is like a modus, not modus ponens, but modus tollens form of syllogism.
Yeah.
He's ruling out.
Yep.
Not ruling in.
Okay.
Yes. Anyway.
I'm not sure, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's that's the thing that really gets to him, is like, particularly with these jumping genes, lines and signs. You know, the what the endoviruses that jump around in your genome. When you have one that you find in the same place between chimpanzees and humans, there's no excuse for that other than common ancestry. We definitely had to have a common ancestor to make that happen, because it's stochastic. Those genes jump anywhere they want. They're not directed.
Well, when he gets into like a mole or something like that, I'm like, you want to tell me that a sunburn is advantageous? Because it's like they're talking about like, oh, well, all mutations have to be beneficial, and it's like, well, if you get sunburned, your skin may start to produce more melanin, that kind of thing. But it's still a mutation when, I don't know, it's the negative mutation is when you develop skin cancer, and it's like, well, where's the benefit of that? That's still a mutation. Skin cancer is a mutation, and it's not beneficial.
Beneficial to the cancer cell.
Yeah, but not to the host. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not to the person that has it.
Yeah.
Well, there might be right along traits which are beneficial, of course.
Yeah, their next move is to say that, well, God he made that line jump into that particular spot because someday it's going to be useful. Or like standing for truth. Okay, the onion has 16 billion nucleotides in the genome, and we've got like 6.
Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, I think it's 6 to 16. And they found a new record holder. It's some fish, some plant that has 180 billion nucleotides in the genome. And it's a tiny little plant, and it's not very complicated. But anyway, Standing for Truth says, well, the onions need all those mutations, because if the onions if they moved to the North Pole, then those mutations would become useful, because then they could survive up there, right? Which is
what?
And you got to wonder, because the garlic does not have those mutations. So why does God give a fuck about the onions more than he cares about
yeah.
It's like God don't like garlic? What the fuck?
Well, either that or he don't like the Greeks. I don't know.
Yeah.
The God of the Bible doesn't seem to like a lot of the foods it created.
I would ask him, I'm like, is the very nature of God immutable? Yeah. How does he go about making immutable things? What? How does he go about making things that can change? He doesn't change. Why does he make things that change?
Right.
How does he know anything about change? He's unchanging. I still remember going into that video with Praise, and they asked me, him and Standing for Truth were there, and asked me if I believed I was related to a strawberry. And I turned it around on them. I'm like, do you guys believe that everything's created by God? Well, yeah. Then yes, you're related to a fucking strawberry.
Strawberry, yeah.
Turn it right back on them. That's the best way.
They're like, no, we're talking about in a familiar relation. I'm like, no, I said, no, I'm going a little bit deeper than that. We're going broad. God is this. God is the creator of everything. So everything necessarily is related to one another as creations of God. Yeah, but isn't it kind of ridiculous to think that you would be you'd be like this with a strawberry and stuff? I'm like, God made all the shit that makes up everything that's made up in you is made up in the fucking strawberry, right? And they're like, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't talk to Praise. I
he
made
still-
one comment and he threw a bunch of profanity at me, and I was like,
Really?
You're disgusting. And that was the last I ever
Really?
talked.
What did he? Praise and I are good friends. Good friends. What did he say? No, I'm just kidding. I can play the video where he's ready to blow my head off, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I made one little comment in a live chat, and I was like, dang.
Was he already arguing with another Christian at the, because that's all I ever see over there on Praise's channel. That's just minnow eats minnow.
Him and Smokey were talking about women and what their place is, or something like that.
Neither of them have been with women. Praise none. Smokey only a juvenile female.
Right, Smokey them with some young ones, but not exactly women. But Smokey is still around. Is he still showing up?
Not lately. This was about a year ago, I think.
But Praise is still a thing, right? Is he still?
No, his channel is actually growing.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's easy for a Christian to grow his channel, though, isn't he? All he's got to do is shout some nonsense about evolution, and
I think he's a late nighter for us.
Blessed be he. Here we go. Okay, wait a minute.
Oh wow, be he? Yeah, okay.
Atheists purified.
We're too stuck in the physical world. Purified. How do we get out of this physical world?
Wow. What substance do we use to purify ourselves?
I took a shower before we started the stream.
Hey, blessed be he. Before you can actually appeal to the physical, you have to disprove solipsism.
Yeah. Well, okay. How do I get out of the physical world without blowing my head off, guys?
Swifter says Smokey's gone. No sign of the Smokey lately.
No sign of the Smokey.
He's been around a little bit, but his light and life is within you. I thought that was just my uncomfortable chair.
It's the same. I swear these are all just like, I swear there's like hotkey comments because it's the same shit. Blessed be he posts the same shit on my live chat whenever I go live.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So he has a hotkey commenter.
It's the same shit over and over. I've actually just like got through it and then they repeated and then I was like, okay, timeout.
I love when Blessed be stops by.
My favorite comment is, am I blocked on this channel?
Yeah.
Why do you have to ask that every time?
Well, does the host see you if you're blocked?
It depends. It depends. I don't know.
Well, now that there's two types of mods, I have no idea.
Yeah, it depends who did it, but there is a list somewhere.
Oh my God! So Stephanie nailed "Blessed Be He" here. Oh, okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely right.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Don't attack people in the chat in the thing in the hangout. You know, that's just lowbrow. That is lowbrow. Be a better Christian.
The olive branch is real short over here these days. So
yes, it is.
Sorry. Goodbye.
Don't mind, you can do it. It's just like you're making yourself look like.
They're
very good at making friends.
Well, we had old Joe on earlier, and old Joe was on, and we had a nice little talk, and said, "Okay, we'll talk to you later, gentlemen." And we may not agree on everything, but there's nothing wrong with having a discussion. But
oh my God,
none of this other stuff. It's getting old,
Boys and girls, Jim Bob is alive.
Oh boy!
Snake that motherfucker.
And he's wearing some kind of freaky wig with "Atheism Unleashed." Oh my God!
It's not April. He missed April Fools.
and somebody's going to tell him we're on too. So
I love it. I love it when Christians role play as atheists. It's so funny.
Out of curiosity, did Blessed Be He get kicked because of the Jason Spastic account or comment, or was it something else that I missed?
I don't think he was kicked, was he?
or timed out. I thought maybe they
It
were
was a
timed out.
time. So, I don't know, whatever it was. The mods have a wrench for a reason. So
What the hell?
Because I was going to say, because Jay Spastic is absolutely terrible. That's the worst one. That's I saw that. I was like, really? That's all you've got? I mean,
That's it. That's it.
yeah, it was
My
that
favorite-
and
my
some
favorite
some
was-
to Andrew and something to Stephanie.
That's
Yeah,
all right,
you don't argue with a mod. You don't argue with a mod. What YouTube universe are you in where you're going to argue with a mod? Okay, tough luck.
Maybe
What could you
like,
possibly use from a subjectivist view?
like a deflationist?
Stop it. Why won't it? God, this. I have to
What
use
in the-
Opera, and Opera is really slow to respond to my key click. So I click it twice. Anyway, that's Jim. Jim Bob has got some kind of weird hat on and some kind of wig. I'm not sure what he's doing.
Oh, he's doing a parody.
Yeah.
He's doing a
Oh,
parody.
this is going to be so much fun. This is going to be so much fun. Just gets me
What a
excited.
clown.
It gets me excited to see Jim Bob just being stupid all the time. It's just like, I love tapping into stupid.
And I have some links to some really good quality bag butters out there, bag bombs. So
Bag bomb, yeah.
after the show, come see me, Mike.
Thank you.
Well, I'll be honest. Like when they Christians in general, when they do this, I mean, this isn't all, but certainly the evangelical or fundamentalist ones, when they try to mimic the atheist position, it tells you so much about what they have no idea about.
Yep.
Right.
It does.
They don't understand statistical analysis. They don't understand
They
even
don't
basic arguments of probability in general, right?
Or
So,
what
like
evidence
abduction even.
or
Okay.
or simply saying not I don't want, or just simply telling them like what you did with Irenic. No. Give me an example of the thing. Give me the thing itself. And Irenic just like, what the fuck are you? You mean evidence? And you're sitting there going, I want you to show me the thing itself. And he steam starts coming out of his ears and shit. Like, I don't know what you understand. If somebody asks me if I have a dog and they go, and I say, yeah, I have a dog, and they go, prove it. And here's my dog. All 51 pounds of her. There you go. There's my dog.
Show me.
I just showed it to you. Oh, do you want evidence that I have this dog? Yes. Come out in the backyard and you can see all the evidence that you want. I haven't cleaned up her shit.
Yeah,
But-
we're talking about dragons, by the way.
What kills me about these guys,
yeah.
they don't even understand how words work. Like the word better. I mean, like yesterday, he did not even, or 2 days ago, he didn't even understand how the word better worked. I mean, it's like, what the fuck? You don't understand how language works? And they ask these stupid questions. Oh, atheist, checkmate.
Is there a pamphlet?
I love that one.
I
love
pamphlet?
that one.
Is there a pamphlet that you could send him, like Superlatives 101?
Yeah. I've been going on in comments with a guy, and he just, he's just not getting it. And then he says, "Oh, well, that's all you have is stories." Well, what the fuck is what do you have in the Bible? Have you ever heard of Bible stories? I don't know. Isn't that just a story?
Well, you went around with bread about that it's like, yeah, everything's a story.
Everything's a fucking story. I mean, everything's a narrative. That's all we communicate, for fuck's sake.
That's a Ken Ham thing they've been pushing, that they don't use the word story anymore because the Bible's historic narrative or something like that.
But where's the tangibility of the words that are coming out of your mouth? Tell me where that comes from. Where's conscience? Conscience. Where does that pesky thing come from? That's my imitation of Jordan Peterson, which is awful. I watched a Stephen Woodruff video on something that Jordan Peterson was talking about atheism, and it was, oh my God, it was bad. Well,
I will give it to Jim Knob. He does a great Jordan Peterson impersonation.
He does.
I will give him that.
Yeah.
He gets all the high things in there. That hurts my throat.
I think he could make money. He's not bad at singing and guitar. He could make money if he did something honest.
I eat meat. I eat meat and water. That's it. Meat, red meat, and salt, meat, and water.
Woman cook it for me.
Yeah. And before then, I used to season it with benzos.
Yeah. I backed off a little bit on the porterhouse steaks there, Jay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, my cardiologist kind of suggested it, and she had evidence. She had evidence.
Time to start kicking up the omega-3s, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. Time to do that.
How are you feeling, Mike?
Feeling great.
Feeling good?
Yeah, medication's working. My heart's beating like normal, like a normal person.
Awesome.
Yeah. How much red meat would you say you consume in a week?
Typically, I don't know, 6 pounds, something like that. Maybe, I don't know.
That's quite a bit of Class B carcinogen right there.
Yeah. I don't
know. Is it a Class C? I forget.
I'm doing fish and vegetable and fruit smoothies now because I've been I had a come to Jesus moment.
I had some fish and a couple other things and stuff because I got some ribs in the freezer. So I've been doing good so that I can have my ribs, because I've had to cut back with ever since I had my stomach issues. I just can't do a lot of red meat anymore. But if I behave for a few days, have my fish and chicken and everything's have something light, and then I can have my ribs.
I am having a ribeye tonight.
Yeah, but the ribs are pork though. I mean, that's not.
No, ribeye,
oh.
beef ribeye.
Oh, beef ribeye. Oh, okay.
Yeah, steak too. Same thing. If I got steaks, of course they're not in the freezer. But if there's steaks in the fridge, same thing. It's like
my sensory experience right now is kind of stunted because I had my.
I gotta make up for it. But.
My widowmaker vein, or the left anterior descending vein, is 33% blocked, and I've got about maybe. At my current rate, I've got about 5 years left to live, or maybe 10 at the most, unless I change my ways.
Magic 8 Ball said you ain't gonna die. Remember?
Yeah, right. Well, we just got to watch it, and then they could put a fucking little bypass in there, and we'll be fine for another 10 years. You guys are stuck with me until I'm 100.
I already told you, you're gonna outlive all of us.
Yeah,
sitting around. Back in the day, I used to hang out with all these guys.
Well, he embalmed him. He basically took had an early start embalming himself on methamphetamines.
Exactly. Yeah. Vodka.
Yeah, I reckon on the sly you're just praying. I reckon that's what it is.
Yeah, right. I'm playing. Yeah, after every show, I say a prayer for my lunch.
Are we getting back to full circle to Sal again? Or
I think we should. Oh, this guy. I mean,
he knows you're really talking to God, Mike.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Hey, every time Mike says he's dosing, I'm waiting to get the text message that God is talking to him. And
yeah.
I have my hopes.
But because of this,
what is my usual text message to you guys when I'm on 5 or 6 grams of fucking mushrooms? It's
check in with me. Check in with me later, just in case, would you? And it's like, gotcha.
I think it was Jesus could only do 4.
Yeah, I think that was my message one time. Jesus fucking mother of God, and then Scott shows up, and I asked him a question: "Are you the bunny?"
I think it's funny that there's substances that you take where it's a good idea to inform someone else that you're going to be taking that substance. The same as if somebody is going to take a trekking trip on their own. Hey, it's a good idea you let people know that you're going on this hike.
Yeah, every time I walk down to the Minnesota River Valley, I always tell my son I'm going down, and I always tell him when I'm going up too.
Yeah, and you have to do the same thing with a narcotic.
Yeah, definitely with a narcotic. Psilocybin a little bit safer if you know what you're doing.
That's the reason why they call it a trip, folks.
Yeah, it's a trip.
That's why I checked in. I said, "Hey, how's the trip? God show up yet?"
Yeah.
Mike usually says no, but something, he's either talking to the raccoons or something.
there's your teleological argument against God, Mike. If God meant us to have dominion over the earth and eat these animals, why is this red meat slowly killing me?
Right. Yeah, I should be selected for, like, I'm eating a lot of that meat.
I cut back. My doctor was going to put me on cholesterol meds because I was like right at the line. He said, "Well, we'll check you next time." And so I just behaved myself, cut back on stuff. I went back. I was 30 points down. He was all happy. So
You want some advice there, Dave? Go back to your doctor and get those fucking cholesterol meds and take them.
my numbers dropped down though. So.
No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking matter. You're going to get hardening of the arteries. Everybody does. The statins help. So take them. I'm going to see my doctor next week, and I'm going to fucking load up on beef and lipids, so he'll raise my dose of statins. That's my whole goal. I have to raise my doses because right now,
walk in with a cheesesteak sandwich in your hand. What's up, doc?
I think the last time I had my cholesterol was over 200. So, but it had dropped from 260.
Yeah, mine went down to fucking what was it, 110? But no, my doctor said I got to get it below 70. So she wants to raise my dose of statins.
I thought below 100 was considered ideal. 100 and below.
Yeah, she's looking at that blocked artery and saying, "Dude, you got to make some changes." So, anyway, but it's really cool. If it hadn't been for my Apple Watch, I would have never known that I had, a partially blocked artery. So now I know. They ran me through all kinds of tests, and my watch said, "Panic! Your heart rate's below 40 for more than 10 minutes." It's like, oh no, it's below 30. Fuck you.
Yeah, I had somebody, because I had a cardiac, I had a hypertensive event, and they hooked me up to an EKG, and one of the ladies was saying, she goes, yeah, somebody had one of those Apple Watches, and we gave them an EKG, and we compared the results from the EKG that they gave them to the EKG readout that the Apple Watch, and they were almost identical.
Yeah. That's what they told me in the emergency room. They said the pulse rate was amazingly accurate compared to what the watch was picking up. So it was pretty cool. Yeah, but they're a little bit irritated. So like one doctor, what the hell did he call it? Apple Watchism or something. He was very irritated because they have a lot of patients coming in now because they found these arrhythmias because of the Apple Watch. And normally people live with them, don't even know what's happening. They make you feel like shit. If you're like, my heart was misfiring 30% of the time or more, and I felt crappy as hell. I mean, I didn't want to do anything, and I felt like 10 years older. I felt like I was 50. Fuck. Now I feel like I'm 40. So fuck you.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I feel pretty good.
I don't know what 40 feels like. I think I skipped 30. I think I skipped the 40s and went right to the 50s.
Entirely, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Oh, well, maybe I should go listen to Jim Bob, get my blood pressure back up. It's dropping a little low this afternoon. 375 people watching him right now. We have 12 watching us. What the fuck?
Christians, they got it. They're on easy mode.
Yeah. Oh my God. I don't know what.
You'd have a lot.
There is a lot more of them than there is of us. A lot more.
You'll have more if they figure out that you're on.
Yeah. Don't they have fucking jobs? I mean, God, what are they doing?
That is his job.
Oh yeah. Well, it's his job. What about all 379 now watching?
They're on their phones at their jobs.
Yeah, some of them are train operators and fucking train operators.
Yeah, exactly. Bus drivers,
airline pilots. Yep.
What is he talking about right now, Jim Bob?
Okay, let's.
I'm just curious if you got it up.
This is something you definitely would hear, though. Honestly,
let's see if we can get an actual entertaining conversation up here. So everyone share and like the lives. P2.
Therefore, denying the law of identity is a performative contradiction.
Is P2?
Yeah.
Is that P2?
Yeah.
What is he doing?
So P2 is what?
Denying the law of identity appeals to the law of identity.
I'm just not clear what you mean by colloquial sense of proof.
I mean, like how we normally just use proof the same way we use theory.
I don't know if he's trying to parody atheists or what, but this is going to be an entertaining stream to watch. This is the one you should cut your teeth on.
Who the hell denies the law of identity? What?
Yeah, and I don't know.
I'm gonna need some context on that.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell he's doing exactly, and I'm not sure what he's doing right now. If I go live, I see burning in hell or something. I think he's maybe quitting. Maybe he's done. I don't know. Looks like he's done. What does he fucking do? What is he? Okay, there he is.
The good value judgments, ethics, things that he mentioned, and that's precisely what
you see the Tucker Carlson earlier. You see the Tucker Carlson look. Okay, is he not channeling Tucker Carlson? With his
the science and reason cannot give us value judgments or virtue.
Definitely. I don't know what the hell.
He does kind of have a perma bewildered look on his face.
Yeah, he does. Okay, yeah, leave this one. Okay, this is a perfect Tucker Carlson right here. This is.
I got him playing guitar. I think you need to refresh.
Yeah, that's the latest. I don't want to listen to his music. It's kind of juvenile, some of it.
It's usually what he does at the end.
Well, for some reason, he I don't know what the fuck this is. He switches over to this wig look here. And I'm not sure what he's doing exactly. Oh, it's a good music.
Bumpy music.
Christian music. Some of that Christian music ain't bad. I mean, they've actually, they've learned.
He makes like those meme videos where he puts all his little cartoons together and
in the name of truth.
Look at this shit.
Love.
Now you have 11 watching you. He's going to watch Jim Bob.
What is? I love that I love that. The name of truth and human love. Oh, it's compared to animal love.
Yeah.
Whale love.
He's obviously never heard of. He's never heard of U2, obviously.
How about yeah?
Yeah, what the fuck? Let me turn the sound off. So we're getting
terrible Catholic band. U2.
Yeah, there's his version of an atheist. Okay, this guy. He looks like He looks like my fucking uncle. What the fuck? I don't know what that is.
That's a meme. That's normally a meme that's sometimes used for an atheist. And that one.
Sasquatch was that. Okay, Atheism Unleashed. What is this shit? I don't know if he's looking at somebody else's channel or what he's looking at.
It looked like he was having a conversation that was happening on TikTok.
Yeah, okay. I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what's happening.
He's on a bunch of different platforms, so.
Yeah.
He's a real go-getter.
He's over on Discord and everything else. So.
Now I've seen him hang out with Andrew Wilson. Is he? What's his? I'm assuming he's a theist. What does anybody know his
anti-feminism? Just really fucking doing shitty things about women.
No, but I mean his overall theological position. Is his denomination?
Wilson
is he Orthodox?
He says says he's a Christian. That's all he says.
Yeah, he doesn't talk a lot about it. He just talks about how
Baptist.
Because I know Andrew Wilson is Eastern Orthodox. I know that's what.
Oh, is he?
Yeah, Andrew Wilson is Eastern Orthodox.
Wow. Okay.
But Jim, I was curious about whether or not Jim Bob has gone the Orthodox route as well.
Oh, he is, because he took his parents to some weird divine liturgy or something, and I think that's Eastern Orthodox, isn't it?
Very trendy at the moment to be Eastern Orthodox.
Yeah, so he took his parents to that in Colorado. He talked about it on a stream, so I'm pretty sure he's the same. But anyway, Jim Bob is going to be in Las Vegas, appearing live with Jay Dyer at some kind of fucking stand-up show or something.
Yeah, well, you've got Gurr in your chat, so I mean.
Oh, I have Gurr.
Wow!
What the fuck?
You pulled Gurr out of retirement. That's how awesome your channel is.
God damn it, Gurmania! Your mom was wondering where the fuck you were. Call her. God damn it. Anyway,
I actually just stumbled upon another somebody popped up when I was surfing around YouTube. Has anybody here ever heard of a Mr. Westford?
No. Mr.
Oh, okay. He's a YouTuber on here. It looks like he used to do a lot of sketches like years ago on here, but he's got such great videos such as atheism is a false religion. So he's trying to push that whole thing that atheism is an actual religion.
Yeah.
And I always say, is that supposed to be a bad thing? Like I've never really understood what that's supposed to do in any way, shape, or form.
That's a way of introducing. That's a way of introducing the definition of atheism at the beginning of a conversation, isn't it?
Yeah.
So for channels, I found a guy that's into disco and house and what the hell else? Trance classic? No, okay, that can't be the right Mr. Westford, right?
No, that's not it. It's Mr. Westford, all one word, capital M-R, capital W, and then Esford.
Okay. So Mr. and Westford are one word together.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's just the abbreviated Mr. It's M-R.
Okay, let me check it out here. No, fuck. I get this Mr. Westford 3474.
Here, I'll share the link. I'll put the link in though.
Well, what the fuck, YouTube? Why isn't it showing me all the Mr. Westfords?
And you're familiar with P-Town, right?
Yeah.
The great thing about P-Town is when you do a YouTube, or at least it used to be, I haven't done it in a while, but when you do a search for P-Town, it comes up. The first thing that you get is beautiful, wonderful, gay P-Town, or something like that. It's a video about Provincetown.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, and the gay community. I guess it's got a fairly large LGBTQ, I think especially gay community. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. I was like, P-Town, you may want to change your name.
Yeah.
People are going to get confused. Just do a search for me on YouTube. You'll find me. No.
Waiting for that link there, Jay. You got it?
Yep. I'm putting it in right there.
You're pretty fucking slow, man.
It's the Kramer.
Okay, what the fuck? Wait, why wouldn't fucking YouTube find it for me?
I don't know. Let me see it'll probably find it for me since I've already been on it.
That's what I typed in, and it didn't.
Check your filter settings.
I don't have filters. I don't believe in filters for anything.
Well, you can filter. You can go over to the filter, and then you can select channel only.
That's what my mom and all my teachers said about me is I have no filters. I don't know what they were talking about.
The link is there. I put the link in the private chat. So
yeah, I'm taking a look at it now. Let's see here.
Oh dear, looking at this, I get very, very grifter vibes.
Chromo.
Looking through his.
Okay. Here it is. So we got Nadim stream. Atheism is a false religion right here.
Yeah.
Matt Dillante. Hanging out with my black dad. Let's see. Race baiting and propaganda. I don't know what the fuck.
There's one I can't think of the guy's name. But he's an atheist YouTuber. He's got quite a decent sized channel. I can't think of his name, but this guy was reviewing one of his why he left the church or why he left Christianity and blah blah blah. And
he's live right now.
Yeah, but the reason I brought him up is he according to his he's Orthodox Christian as well. I don't know Eastern Orthodox, but I'm like, what is it? This increase in these Orthodox? It's like now they want to get now you see like more of these guys like trying to lean to more of the rule oriented denominations of Christianity.
Well, it's the mysticism. To be fair, it's the same thing the Catholics enjoy, right? It's hard to be a Catholic because they've got these mysticism arguments effectively that say, well, Jesus said, we're the original church, so therefore we must be right.
Yeah,
and the Orthodox have the same sort of thing on their side. When they have a long history of mysticism, which allows them to get out of certain arguments,
Taco says they're a big fan of his in the chat there.
Wow. Cool. So So yeah, so man, you found me more stupid to listen to. That's good.
Yeah.
There's never a shortage, is there?
Oh,
exactly.
Okay, they're looking at movies right now live. I don't know what the hell. Anyway, yeah, but this one, dumb atheist stuff, should be a good one to watch here. I'm pretty sure. Okay, there's some dumb.
Sounds amusing already.
2 hours 15. I'm not sure. I'm.
Yeah, I was
I'm
actually
gonna
going to.
bother.
I was going to cover this guy. Maybe do a live stream and say, "Hey, it's the Christian Orthodox version of me." Absolutely, useless videos.
It's only half as long as if you do it 2 times, and then if you go to the little infographics there on the peak things, and just look at that's usually the good parts. So then you can skip through that.
Okay, so
it saves you a lot of time.
Taco says, look at his shorts. So let's see, open link, a new tab. Here we go. Where the fuck are you? Okay. Here we go. Let's see, new for you. Okay, shorts. If Christians argued like atheists, if Christians argued like if Christians argued like what the fuck? He's got 2 of those.
Nice.
Let's take a look.
Just in case you didn't get it the first time.
Yeah.
Now, there's no audio for us. At least I can't hear it anymore.
Oh, okay. Oh shit. Yeah. This really sucks. This interface. What the fuck? Where the hell's the audio?
Technical issues.
What the fuck?
Oh, you probably need to share it again and click on
Details about really when it comes down to it.
Oh, there you go.
If you simply follow the money and see where it goes.
Yep, we hear it.
Yep.
You'll find that it's all about avoiding taxes.
What the
Yeah.
fuck?
There was no atheist before America. I mean, really, atheism was invented to avoid American taxes.
What the fuck is he talking about? I don't know. That's beyond me.
What's he smoking in that pipe?
Exactly.
I think you'll find, Dave, it's straw.
Banana peels.
Yeah, I don't know if the milk is as fresh coming from this guy as it is from like Mr. Jim Bob, but it might be a lulz cow you can milk.
With the knowledge of atheism, it's something that's taught. You don't open your eyes for the first time and believe in nothing. I'm sorry. It's just, you've been indoctrinated. Not everyone is born with the knowledge of atheism.
Oh my god, this is some bad shit. This is some really bad
Just
shit.
wake up one day and believe in nothing. Do you believe in that?
Oh my
Do
god.
you believe in magic?
This is fucking treat.
Oh man.
Atheists, just wake up. I believe in nothing.
Oh my god. Okay, what the fuck? Oh, I'm gonna fucking subscribe.
I have not heard that. That is the shit that I grew up hearing from Christians when I grew up in the church.
Really?
I heard the same fucking bullshit about atheists and non-believers. Oh, the atheists, they just wake up one day and, I don't believe in anything. And you're like, yeah, that is stupid.
Yeah, I don't believe in my foot. I don't believe in my left foot or my right foot.
That's so stupid that they would just be like that. And then you realize later on, man, I was stupid for even agreeing with that. What the fuck?
Oh my god.
I dropped it in my watch later list.
Scott just now got his fucking Texas Wi-Fi working.
He's got to wet his feet better.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty bad.
Better connection.
Gents, on that straw man, I will definitely leave you. I'm going to go away and really think hard about nothing.
About nothing. And your belief in nothing.
You believe nothing.
Exactly. So there we go. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you so much, Speed.
All right, Simos. Good to see you.
Jay, as always. I'll see you when I do. Take care, everybody.
Yeah.
Bye.
I'm going to take this moment to also leave for all of us. So I think we're going to get out of here. 2 hours and 23 minutes. God, what the fuck? My arteries are hardening.
You're setting a record.
Anyway, okay, I'm out of here. So, Jay, are you going to go listen to Jim Bob?
No, I can only take. If I listen to Jim Bob, it'll be that conversation between him and Leo. I think I could I think I can tolerate that, but the rest of it, I've glimpsed on some of his back and forths and shit, and it's just like no.
Leo has that posted on his channel.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, but no, don't go listen to it on Leo's channel. Listen to it in the middle of my channel. So that's better.
Oh.
Yeah, I want the views. Fuck Leo. Fuck him. He came and fucking inserted himself into my channel, and then he clipped it. He did actually. No. Anyway. Okay, guys, we're gonna get here. Huh? What?
Well, where's well, if you can send me the link to your channel.
No, go watch it. Go watch Leo's thing. He clipped out his part. It'll be better on your nerves overall.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not bad, huh?
Just kidding.
Well, I mean, I think it happened the same time because he popped into your stream, didn't he? And then you and him were talking, and then there was some back and forth, and then eventually it just became like a one-on-one between Leo and him.
Yep.
Right. Yep. Okay.
That's it. Okay, guys. Anything else you guys want to add before we get out of here?
Nope.
Okay.
Good talking, everybody. Good to hear that you're feeling better. And,
yep.
I hope Scott can wire his place a little better there and get some aluminum foil on his hat and get his Wi-Fi together there.
Well, if you get the fuck out of Texas, I don't know.
Hopefully he'll be with us next time.
Okay.